Welcome back, mathematicians. In this video, let's look at another example where we have to solve a quadratic equation by completing the squares. What you'll notice is that the constant has already been moved over to the right side, so we don't need to worry about that. And the leading coefficient is already 1. So the next step is actually to rewrite the left side so that it is in the form of a perfect square trinomial. So in other words, we're going to add a constant to the left side so that it becomes a perfect square trinomial. And when we do that, we must also add that same value to the right side to keep our equation consistent. So now let's figure out what value goes in that blank, and that's going to be the b over 2 quantity squared. B in this case is -6, so it's -6 over 2 quantity squared, which is really equal to -3 quantity squared, which is equal to 9. So we're going to add 9 to both sides. Now we factor the left, so the left side factors to be x minus 3 times x minus 3, and the right side is going to be 22. So from here, we want to rewrite this binomial times the x minus 3 times the x minus 3 as x minus 3 squared is equal to 22. And then finally, we want to square root both sides to undo the square. So we get x minus 3 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 22. Now, two things to notice here. Number one, we have to include the plus or minus. Anytime we square root both sides as a process to solve an equation, we must include the plus or minus in front of the radical on the right side here in this case. And then we also cannot simplify that square root of 22. So we have to leave that alone. We also do not want to calculate the decimal because the square root of 22 is perfect, it's exact. We don't want to have any rounding error or inaccuracies. Next, we're going to add 3 to both sides. And so we have x is equal to 3 plus or minus the square root of 22. And that is my final and perfect answer. And if you wanted to, you could rewrite this as two solutions. So it's x is equal to 3 plus the square root of 22, and x is equal to 3 minus the square root of 22. So in other words, rewriting them without the plus or minus as those two separate values. All right, guys, good luck.